Okay, we'll move to item 3.1 on the agenda, which is a proclamation that, recognizing Martin Luther King Day. It's scheduled for the 15th of January. We do not have another meeting until after that. So tonight's council meeting will read the proclamation in honor of Martin Luther King Day. Whereas Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15th, 1929, dedicated and sacrificed his life to promote a world of peace, equality, justice, and freedom for all. Whereas we are inspired by Dr. King as he lived his life long preaching words of peace, hope, and harmony. Dr. King once stated, quote, "The hope of a secure and livable world lies with disciplined and nonconformists who are dedicated to justice, peace, and brotherhood." And quote, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. The survival of mankind rests on the shoulders of good. The adage, evil wins when good does nothing, is a reminder of our responsibilities as human beings. Whereas the teachings of Dr. King must live on in all of us. For mankind to survive, we must live by a higher calling, one that is designed to motivate and encourage good people to overcome all evil. Whereas our community stands together in support of love, kindness, peace, and truth, and where openness and communication is the key to a strong, healthy, welcoming, and safe environment for all people. Whereas we declare our support and commitment to human rights throughout the world and this community. Every person is protected by the Human Rights Act as advocated by Dr. King. Our community stands for freedom, it stands for peace, and it stands for justice for all. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor, Larry Cuffey Jr., with support of the Virginia City Council, the Human Rights Commission, and all citizens of the City of Virginia, that we proclaim Monday and recognize Monday, January 15th, 2024, a day of recognition, celebration, and honor of a humble man of peace, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and we recommit our efforts to live a life of peace and acceptance. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item number 4, the public forum. This is an opportunity for anyone in the audience that'd like to come and speak before the council. If anybody is in the audience would like to address the council this evening, please come forward at this time. Seeing none, we'll move to item number 5 on the agenda, which is the consent agenda. The following items will be enacted by one motion unless a councilor or a citizen of the City of Virginia requests that the item be considered separately. Item 5.1 is the approval and correction of the regular meeting that was held on December 26, 2023. Item 5.2, the adoption of Finance Resolution number 24-001, the schedule of bills. Item 5.3, approve the 2024 on sale and wine and strong beer license for the Sugar Shack Company doing business as the Sugar Shack. And finally, item 5.4, approve the travel request for Matt Holman, police officer, to attend the 88 Tactical Training, May 19th through the 23rd, 2024 in Rosemount, Minnesota, at a cost of $1,531. These are the consent agenda items before the council. We'll look for council action in it.
Move the consent agenda.
Councilor Johnson moves to approve the consent agenda. Is there support?
Support.
By Councilor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, appearances. There is no one scheduled to appear before the council this evening. Once again, this is an opportunity for anybody from the audience who'd like to come and speak and address the council. You're welcome to do so at this time. Seeing none, we'll move to item 7, unfinished business. Item 7.1, the clinic lease. We don't have our attorney here. He's going to be late. He'll be coming shortly, and if we need to go back to these items under unfinished business, we will certainly do so to address any updates from our attorney with respect to this. So we'll wait on any information on the clinic lease. Item 7.2 is a property located at 410 5th Street South, the Kingsley property. Again, we're waiting for our city attorney to come, but I think what I would ask, not to put you on the spot, Jenny, but we do have our rental code ordinance that took effective January, and I know that our inspector has started scheduling inspections of properties. You have any update at all with respect to how this is moving forward?
I'm unaware of any rental application that's been received for that property at this time, but they do have, within this first year to get an application in and get registered if they are, in fact, renting that property.
Okay, thank you. And I'd like our city attorney to address this issue too. There's supposed to be some additional information he was researching forthcoming. So we'll wait for him to come and we'll go back to that. But in the interim, Mr. and Mrs. Kingsley in the audience, would you like to say anything at this point in time? Please come forward. Mr. Kingsley.
Hi, Bruce Kingsley. I just wanted to add, there was a question, in action, being that they said that the property was not rented, there's nobody in there. And as of Sunday, I talked to the renter at great length. The property is indeed being rented by the same gentleman who's been renting a long time. He was gone for a little bit of time because his children moved away, but the property, I can tell you for a fact, is indeed being rented.
And that's at 412?
Yes.
Thank you. Jenny, make a note of that, please. Thank you.
That's all I had.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kingsley.
Thank you.
I'll move to item 8, discussion items. Item 8.1, the approve the Regional Advisory Committee, the RAC, appointments for 2024. And this is something we do on an annual basis for the police and fire, the Communication Advisory Board appointment for 2024. And in your packet, there's the names of the individuals who are to be reappointed. This is no cost to the city. They represent the Communications Board. So looking for approval for the Regional Advisory Committee appointments for 2024.
I'll move Nicole Mattson and Chad Nicola as the Regional Advisory Committee representatives.
Thank you. Councilor Johnson moves to approve. Is there support?
Support.
By Councilor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Freely. No further discussion. Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.2, approve the Emergency Communications Board, the ECB appointments for 2024.
I will move Scott Frederickson and Eric Jonason as the Emergency Communication Board's representatives.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Johnson moves to approve Chief Frederickson and Assistant Chief Jonason to this board. Is there support? By Councilor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 8.3, adopt a resolution designating the official newspaper for the City of Virginia in 2024.
I will move Mesabi Tribune as the official paper for 2024 and the resolution accordingly.
Thank you. Councilor Johnson moves to approve by resolution designating the Mesabi Tribune as the official city newspaper for 2024. Is there support?
Support.
By Councilor Motley.
I have
Further discussion? Councilor Beyondich.
And I think we've talked about this before, that our meetings are not regularly in the papers. So is it something that the city would send the paper? I'm not sure how this works. Would we send them the minutes from our meeting? So at least they're published without having a story done? Are they published in the paper when we have meetings?
Pam?
Mayor, due to costs, I haven't been putting them in, trying to cut back on that advertising. They are on the website, but if you so choose, I can start running them again.
No, thank you. I'm trying to keep the costs down. So as long as we can direct people to the website so they can read the minutes there.
And there also, I believe, was something in the statute now that we don't have to publish them, that they can be available by request due to their size.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Yes.
Thank you, Councilor Beyondich. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Freely.
So the only thing that they really publish are the minutes, or are we talking about additional things for the city, like putting in advertisements for jobs and so on and so forth? And so are we looking at Mesabi as like a much more widespread readership than hometown focus? Do we know that factually that that's the case? Because I guess if they're offering a $1 per column inch and we're paying $1.49 for it from Mesabi, and they're able to do the same thing for us, I'm a little concerned in this budgetary crunch that we're in, why we would maintain an association with Mesabi as opposed to Hometown Focus when they serve the same region. But you can tell me why we lean in one direction or the other.
And I think if I may, that's the reason for the statutory change going on, is not to have to publish it because of the cost associated with that. But the primary reason, the difference between the Mesabi Tribune and the Hometown Focus is that if we have meetings to be scheduled and we have to post them by statute within 3 days, when you're only publishing your publication once a week, we have to be able to have an official newspaper to publish those and to comply with the state statute. So we use an official newspaper designation, in this particular case, the Mesabi Tribune.
That explains it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Pam, on that? Okay, thank you. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.4 is adopt a resolution regarding the guidelines for the city council meeting, public hearings, and committee meetings. If anybody has any changes that they'd like to make with respect to that, it's the regularly scheduled agendas that we have. In the past, we made some minor changes. By adding council reports to the agenda moving forward. And so in 2024, unless there's any other changes requested, looking for motion to follow the guidelines that are established when we conduct our meetings. Councilor Beyondich.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Beyondich. Is there support?
I'll support.
By Councilor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.5, adopt the resolution for designating depositories for 2024. Sherry?
Council. This is standard procedure every year. We have to list by resolution the banks that we work with in our depositories where money is kept.
And we do this on an annual basis as a
Yes, sir.
requirement.
It's required. And for the auditors, we need to have it done also, just FYI. We should be able to start a 223 audit here in the part of March 11th. So that's a little earlier, and hopefully we get it done sooner.
Okay, thank you.
I'll move the resolution.
Councilor Johnson moves to approve the resolution, and it's supported by Councilor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.6, appoint of acting mayor for 2024 would be a vice mayor for 2024.
I'll move that we continue with Councilor Paulson.
Councilor Johnson moves to reappoint Councilor Paulson as the vice mayor for 2024. Is there support?
Support.
By everybody, Councilor Beyondich officially. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.7 is appoint one councilor to the VETA board. Councilor Beyondich has served on this board for quite a long time. Change in her schedule results in her inability to. It's a conflict for her with her employment, so she's asked us to reappoint someone else to serve on the VETA board. The other VETA board member is Councilor Paulson. So looking for a volunteer to serve. It's usually in the mornings at 8 o'clock on Thursdays, once a month on Thursdays. So is anybody available? Councilor Johnson?
Would there be ability to change that day? And I look at, as a volunteer, Tuesdays, I try not to schedule anything between airport meetings and everything else. If that meeting day could be adjusted to a Tuesday, then I would have the ability to step up if I needed to.
Okay. Pardon? Well, we could check with the board to determine that. If that's not the case, And if we can change it, we can discuss that on Tuesday, for a Tuesday morning, or, so if not, if the board decides that they want to meet on Thursdays, is there any other individual that would be willing to serve, any other elected officials serve as the, on the VITA board? Counselor Motley?
If it didn't work for Counselor Johnson first, I again would throw myself out there, but I would be also contingent on a time change in the evening for me, just because I work.
Okay, thank you. If that's not the case, and we can make a check on that, if that's not the case, and I know that Counselor Paulson is already on there, I would, if it can't be changed, and if it needs to be stayed on Thursday because of other people's schedules or whatever the case may be, then I'd be willing to serve in that capacity at those Thursday meetings once a month alongside Counselor Paulson, if a change can't be made to the schedule. So let's get a motion for us talk, who's the board chair for that VITA right now? Or can we have a check with the VITA board meeting and see if they could change that to Tuesday? Okay, we'll bring it up the agenda at the next meeting. Very good, thank you, and we'll figure that out then. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, item 8.8 is approve the resolution making a declaration of official intent on the U.S. Secretary regulations. Resolution making. So this is,
I will move the resolution making a declaration of official intent under the U.S. Treasury
all right, thank you,
sections.
Counselor Johnson moves to approve, and they're supported by Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.9 is approve the Masabi Humane Society contract.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Motley. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Beyondich and then Counselor Johnson.
Has the board at the Humane Society reviewed this, and they're okay with it? Thank you.
Counselor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. I will not be supporting this contract. When we have asked for information, it is not regularly available. One of the things they talked about was that Virginia has a majority of the pickups, which makes sense to me because people bring their pets into Virginia because they know they'll be picked up and brought in. So I think that we need to have, again, that discussion about a fee for service or whatever that happens to be, and make sure the other communities, including the county, are paying their fair share. So I don't recall if we got the information about what the county approved. I know that was one of the questions we had asked multiple times. And because we have not gotten that information, I am not going to be supporting this, not knowing what else everybody else is contributing.
Okay. Has it moved and supported? Has been moved and supported to approve the Masabi Humane Society contract. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Freely.
Thank you, Mayor. And I have stated this on several occasions. I do, in fact, appreciate and respect all of the work that they do in that facility. But in the budgetary crunch that we're in, I guess I just cannot, I cannot support the amount of money that we're investing in that. And I've talked to them also about, I think that they need to create a much more robust campaign for donations and so on, of which I contributed to recently as well. So I just can't support the amount of money that we're putting towards this, but I do, in fact, very much appreciate the work that's done there.
Okay, thank you. It has been moved and supported to accept the Masabi Humane Society contract. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Motley.
So the contract that's in the packet was actually less than what they were requesting. So it's not an increase. And my understanding, Sherry, is this was budgeted for the year 2024.
Right, it's the same
And then
last year.
for some reason I can't find it in my 100 pages here, but wasn't Counselor Johnson, what he was asking for, wasn't that kind of updated in the red lettering in the Mesabi contract?
On
I can't find the page.
page 37 of
37.
the packet, it looks like under number 14, that they're to provide monthly reports.
So I was just throwing that out there in case we could sway a counselor. It is if we were to approve this, Counselor Johnson, it does state that on number 14, Mesabi will provide monthly reports to us on statistics, number of cats, dogs, et cetera. So, but anyway, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Counselor Johnson?
Before we vote, what is the threshold for passing a contract with spending?
5 to 2.
Okay, I just want to make sure you know what we're going to.
Well, I was just saying, we at least need at least 5 votes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Beyondich?
And when they generate these reports, would they be passed on? Are they part of the financial package, or would they be passed on to us as a council?
Okay, send me the email, then I forward
Thank
to the
you.
council.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, any further discussion? Moved and supported. Further discussion? Counselor Freely.
So in absentia of one of our, if we were not to meet the 5-2 threshold, then this would fail
Correct.
for tonight?
Yes.
The impact on the facility and the services that they provide would be concerning to me then. Reiterate my,
Well, you can always come back for another vote because we don't have our full council present. Counselor Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor. And I would really like to know what the county settled on, and I think the most prudent would be to move to table until all councilors are present for the vote.
Okay, so there is a motion to approve the contract and support. Before we get a vote, is there any other request of action? Counselor Johnson moves to table. Is there support?
I'll support.
Support by Counselor Freely. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This contract issue has been tabled. Okay, item number 8.10, appoint 2 counselors to the Evelyn Airport Commission Authority for a 1-year term ending 12/31/24. These are 1-year appointments. Counselor Freely and Counselor Johnson currently serve as liaisons to the Evelyn, Virginia Airport Commission and has agreed to continue to serve in that capacity once again. So looking for a motion to appoint 2 counselors, and we can do this in one motion? Thank you. Counselor Beyondich.
I will make that motion to have Counselor Freely and Counselor Johnson stay on the airport. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved by Counselor Beyondich and supported by Counselor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. We are still looking for 1 city representative to join us, which would help. We have had to schedule a couple of meetings, reschedule because of a lack of quorum. And if you don't know anything about airports, that's fine. Both Councilor Friedlieb and I have learned on the job, and it is a significant economic impact to the community. It's a good place to start if you're thinking about getting into city leadership or city government in any capacity.
Yeah, thank you. It's been nice to have a citizen serving in that capacity as well, so we'll continue to advertise. That has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 9, committee reports. Item 9.1, the Committee of the Whole was held on January 2nd, 2024. We'll turn this portion of our council meeting over to our city administrator, Britt C. Bennis. Britt?
Thank you. At the January 2nd Committee of the Whole meeting, the first one for the year, Mr. Mayor Cuffey presented a check to the Friends of Public Safety on behalf of the Fish Note Golf Tournament in the amount of $3,240. We thank them, and we thank the members of the Public Safety Group, Sarah Sepola, Rocky Lucarelli, Jen Makowski, and Mrs. Lucarelli, I can't think of her first name.
Pardon?
Carol Lucarelli, were
Yes,
present to
Carol.
take that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Matt Reed from SCH was present to discuss the request for approval to seek bids for the 2023 street project, which will now be completed in '24, and the 2024 alley project. However, Mr. Reed did note that two of the projects will be postponed until we further review the information that was received from our bond counsel, as the time frame of the date of the public hearings where we agreed to go out for bids and to the point of awarding bids has elapsed. We only have 1 year to do that, and it's been a little too long. So the 2023 street project, which includes Phase 1, which is 6th Avenue West and 17th Street South, and Phase 2, 10th Avenue West and 13th Street South, would have to be redone with a feasibility report, will have to be updated, and we'll have to redo the public hearings. After that discussion, it was moved and supported to approve updating the feasibility policy and to call for a public hearing on the 2023 street infrastructure improvements, both Phase 1, which is 6th Avenue West and 17th Street South, and Phase 2, which is 10th Avenue West and 13th Street South.
Thank you. Looking for a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Counselor Motley moves to approve the update of the feasibility study on these street projects. Is there support?
Support.
Pardon?
And set public hearing.
And set the public hearings, yes. Supported by, I'm sorry, Counselor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Well, he pointed, and then he pointed at Counselor Barnzelli, so which one is it? Okay, we'll flip a coin. Okay, Counselor Barnzelli gets the call. Okay, further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
We did authorize Mr. Matt Reed to advertise for bids for the Silver Lake Trail Phase 3 project. This will actually run along 9th Avenue to the Iron Trail Motors Event Center and then along the Iron Trail Motors Event Center to 12th Avenue. And this is a LCC-MAR fully funded project.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Beyondich and supported by Counselor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.
Dominic Olavanti from AOA was present to discuss his request for a temporary closure of a portion of 2 roads in order to shoot a commercial on January 13th, 2024. He stated he was hoping to use the 1,200 and 1,300 blocks of 5th Avenue South, which is near the tennis for all facility, and a portion of Southern Drive. There was discussion regarding access to the tennis building, and Mr. Olavanti was confident they could keep access open. Jim Rossford, Public Works Director, discussed the proposed blocking of the streets and stated he did not see a problem with it. Olavanti did note that the city will have access to the commercial for our viewing purposes and our use when it is completed. It was moved and supported to approve the closure of the portion of the 1,200 and 1,300 block of 5th Avenue South and a part of Southern Drive to shoot a Super Bowl commercial on January 13th.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.
At a previous meeting, we had tabled the change order number 2 from EnviroBait till we had some more information. So Taylor Dickinson from IEA was present to discuss the change orders for the EnviroBait, which was the hazardous material removal. Both change order 1 and change order 2 were discussed. After discussion, it was moved and supported to approve the resolution for change order number 2 with EnviroBait in the amount of $6,905.
So moved.
A move to approve by Counselor Friedrich, supported by Counselor Johnson. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Beyondich.
And I still have a little bit of an issue with this one. I don't know if we had any success in reaching out to have a conversation on this.
I haven't talked to the attorney about that yet, but that is a further discussion a little bit farther down.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed?
No.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Pam.
Motley,
Yes.
Friedlieb,
Aye.
Wilson is absent. Beyondich,
No.
Johnson,
Yes.
Baranzelli, Coffey.
Yes. Motion fails. 4-3. Okay, thank you. Next item, please.
It was moved and supported to approve the resolution for final pay estimate number 3 with EnviroBait for the amount of $7,170.25.
So moved.
A move to approve by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Counselor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
It was moved and supported to seek additional damages from Brown Intertech for the hazardous waste material inspection for the Public Safety Center change order number 2.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Motley, supported by Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Roll call, please, Pam.
Friedlieb
Aye.
is absent. Beyondich.
Aye.
Johnson.
No.
Aaroncelli. Cuffey.
Aye.
Motley.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-1. Thank you.
Steve Rackloff from Mesabi Community TV was present to answer questions regarding independent contractor agreement for the public access television. We did discuss some cleanup language in the storage equipment. It was moved and supported to approve recommending the changes for the agreement, and in your packet is a resolution to adopt the agreement.
I'll move the resolution.
Move to approve by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
We had discussion regarding the tree policy that came forward from the Parks and Recreation Commission, who is by ordinance the tree board. After further discussion, it was moved and supported to allow staff to note the discrepancies in the proposed tree policy that with the ordinance and to set another public input meeting for discussion of the policy.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Johnson. Is there support? By Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to allow staff to proceed with the notice of option to exercise right to purchase city property by Joy Global Surface Mining Incorporated.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Freely. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Johnson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
We had discussion regarding the tax increment financing redevelopment district that we're looking to propose at the Uptown Virginia, which is the former Thunderbird Mall area. In order for us to do that, we have to have a TIF analysis completed. We discussed the proposal from LHB Incorporated to prepare such TIF analysis. It was moved and supported to direct city staff to reach out to LHB to discuss items 10, 11, and 12 of their proposed contract. And I would suggest we also approve contingent upon a satisfactory answer to those 3 items.
Okay, thank you. Recommendation by our city administrator and staff to approve this contract contingent upon resolving items 10, 11, and 12 in that proposed contract.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
From a prior meeting, we had discussion regarding a travel request that was sent in for Christina Nicola and Stephanie Lyson to attend the Upper Great Plains Region 3 Institute in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We had great discussion with Christina, who explained a little bit more about what the training was and why it was so important. It was moved and supported to approve the travel request for Christina Nicola and Stephanie Lyson to attend the Upper Great Lakes Region 3 Institute in Minneapolis, February 11th through the 16th, at a cost of $1,750 each.
So moved.
It's moved to approve by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
No further items from that meeting.
Thank you. Item 9.2, the Street and Alley Committee that was held on January 2nd, 2024. Members of this committee are, the chair of the committee is Counselor Freely, and members Counselor Motley and Mayor Cuffey. Looking for, you want us to go through this? Would you like to do that?
Feel free, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, Street and Alley Committee met on January 2nd, 2024, and we discussed 3 major items on the agenda. Item 9.2A was direct staff to set up a meeting with St. Louis County to discuss the swap of ownership of Borgen Road and Hoover Road. And to give you a little explanation about that, there was some discussion about the city of Virginia taking over the maintenance of Hoover Road. And this is something that the county is a county state aid road. And for us to take that over and maintain it moving forward, it's still in really good condition. And so we would do that for the long term and take over the responsibility to maintain that road. But in exchange for that, we want to set up in St. Louis County before we accept that and ask for a road swap. And so the Borgen Road, which is in dire need of repair between Highway 135 and Highway 53, if the county would repave that and improve that roadway as a county road moving forward, we would continue to maintain it as plowing and those kind of things. And so we're looking to set up a meeting to discuss with St. Louis County that particular swap for those from Hoover Road to the Borgen Road.
I would move to direct staff to set up that meeting and discussion.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Johnson moves to direct staff to set up that meeting. Is there support?
Support for discussion.
By Councilor Motley for discussion. Further discussion by Councilor Motley.
Britt, was this your idea for the land swap? Possibly, or the mayor?
It was hers.
It was a thought when we had the discussion, because the discussion came about with 9th Street North and Highway 53 is going to be redone to Hoover Road. And Hoover Road's owned by the county. We own 9th Street North, so the state's trying to figure out who owned that little portion from the ICO to the highway. And I started thinking, well, Borgen Road really would be is more conducive to be a county road because of the nature of Borgen Road. Doesn't have curb, it doesn't have gutter, doesn't have such effort. Whereas Hoover Road has all the amenities of a city road, so it would be more conducive for us to have that as a city road and give Borgen Road to the county.
The Midway residents that live on Borgen Road, if this actually happened and the land swap came to be, this would be in your benefit going forward because you would not be assessed on your property when that road got paved. Is that correct?
That is correct. It would be a St. Louis County Transportation Infrastructure Improvement Project through their sales tax.
Thank you, Britt. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9.2B, review and approve the revised public improvement policy, and that's related to the assessment policy. There was some significant discussion about that, and we made some revisions, some recommendations to the council moving forward to make it a different way in which to assess people on the properties of the street and projects moving forward. But the current policy has to remain, and for the projects in 2023, or is there a change in that?
The ones that we have done that were already under the old policy would be the 2024 alley project. Mm-hmm. Anything we have to redo if we adopt the policy tonight would fall under the new policy. Okay, very good. Thank you. So thank you for that explanation. So a little bit more on the assessment policy. If you have it in your packet, so if anybody has any questions, there's a different way of determining assessing a person's property. We did make a change in the policy before we approved the reduction of requiring us to assess properties at the level of 20%, which is the state law requires us to assess a minimum of 20% if state fundings are used. And so, and I think most of all of our projects are these big, huge street improvement projects. We need additional outside funding in order to build these streets because our budget and our levy won't support millions of dollars in those improvement projects without having that ability. So anybody have any questions or comments about that street assessment improvement policy? Looking for a motion to approve and support to do so. Move to approve by Councilor Freely. Is there support?
Support.
By Councilor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9.2C, direct staff to complete a mill and repair of the intersection of 17th Street and 13th Avenue as a temporary patch. There was some discussion with our Public Works Director, Jim Roswitz, said that the city crews could do that on a temporary basis until those improvements are made down the road. It's that intersection right by Iron Trail Motors and Menards. It's a significant problem. It has been for a long period of time. It's probably scheduled to be repaired in 2026 or 27, but to do a temporary mill overlay and scrape that down and make that improvement so that it's easier to access back and forth, and make some improvements in the stop sign and cut those bushes down to make it a lot easier and a safer intersection to follow. So that was the recommendation that came from the Street and Alley Committee, to have direct staff to do that. And it's within it would be within the budget of Public Works.
So moved.
Move to approve by Councilor Freely. Is there support? By Councilor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Committee members, Chair Freely, Councilor Motley, any other items to be discussed at all that came out of that meeting?
I was actually just thinking, I thought it was a really fun meeting of the few that I've been to. I thought it was the most exciting. That's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Okay. We'll move to let's go to item 9.2D. Let's add this on there if we may, please. Now, we have council committees that have been established. We don't make those changes, until, reorganization meeting after an election is done, where we reappoint committees. But just want to bring up, these are all, everybody who serves on these committees. If you have a conflict or a concern where you want to change, or you have, you want to change your committee status, you don't want to serve on the committee, you have some conflicts or something, please let us know, let me know, and maybe we can make an adjustment to the committee schedule. I think it's working very well. Everybody's maintaining their responsibilities, and we're doing some really good work here in the committees. But if anybody wants to change in that or has a conflict, please let me know. Thank you. Item 10, Commission Liaison Reports. Is there any Commission Liaison report that anyone would like to give this evening? We'll turn it over to Councilor Motley.
As your liaison to public utilities, I attended their last meeting Wednesday, December 27th, where they approved the 2023 budget. Also, they are going to do a 2.5% rate increase on gas and the steam core. It's the first in over 20 years, and also a 50-cent water increase per unit. They wanted me to emphasize to the public that the rate increase has nothing to do with city street projects. The rate increases are based strictly on net income. And another little note was, I believe it was for the gas increase on a big residential house, like they emphasize very large. The increase equates to about $8 a month. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Motley. Councilor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. The Human Rights Commission is co-sponsoring the MLK Peace and Unity March and Rally on Martin Luther King Day next Monday, January 15th at 2024, at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. At 11 a.m., there will be a walk a mile for MLK on the indoor walking track at the Iron Trail Motors Event Center. At noon, there will be a keynote speaker, Timothy Berry, Doctorate of Education, the Interim Associate Vice President for Faculty Affairs and Equity Initiatives at Minnesota State University. Will share his thoughts. This year, there will also be a lot of activities for kids. I believe there's a bounce house that's going to be there, and a couple of other things like that. It is a free event brought to you through a partnership between Minnesota North College, Mesabi Range, the Virginia Human Rights Commission, Virginia and Evelyn Elks Club, U.S. Steel, and the Iron Trail Motors Event Center. So look forward to seeing folks there to celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King in a day of service. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Johnson. Any other commission liaison reports? Okay, thank you. I'll move to item number 11, department head reports. Does any department have a report they'd like to give this evening? Please come forward if you do. We have Jody Grabinowski, our library director. with hopefully, as always, some exciting news about happenings at the library. Jody, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So yes, the library has some fun events coming up, and tomorrow, if you are a plant person, we have a plant swap because tomorrow is National Houseplant Day. Who knew that they had their own house, their own thing? So between 2:30 and 4, and the Friends of the Greenhouse have donated some plants, and we'll have a little craft to go with it. This part of we're doing a craft-a-noon once a month, and this is the kickoff for the new year. And then on Friday, we have active play. So 0 to probably 5 or 6, we'll set up little stations in the event room. And I am not sure what ones Miss Stephanie will have this time, but they can go play at different ones. The fishing was pretty popular last time, and we have an activity table. And then they could go shopping at a little farmer's market. So, and then we will be closed on Martin Luther King Day on Monday, but then we do start back with our story times on Tuesday, January 16th at 10:30 for babies. And then on Friday, we do have our toddler story time at 10:30. And our movie of the month is Cool Running. And the response parents have been going, oh, cool. And kids are going like, what? So if you want to come and watch a fun movie, and if you follow our Facebook page, people are starting to put in quotes that they remember from that movie. And our next book club is on the 25th of January. All of these are on our website. They're in our calendar. If you stop in the library, you can pick up this awesome calendar that Miss Sophia has been putting together with all the information. And then we do have some really amazing events in February. So I will keep you all up to date on what's happened at the library.
Thank you, Jody. Okay. Departmental reports will go from right to left. Jenny, our planning director, anything to disseminate to us this evening?
Not today. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Sherry?
Nope, just getting year-end stuff done and getting ready for the audit.
Okay, Pam, anything?
Mayor, thank you.
Yes.
I would
Okay.
just like to inform the public that this year is an election year with 3 elections coming up. The first one is March 5th, that's the presidential primary. In August will be the regular primary and the general election in November. Absentee voting will begin next Friday, January 19th, for the presidential primary. So, applications, everyone has to fill out an application only for that election. And then there's another application if you're going to vote absentee for the primary and the regular primary and the general election. So lots of applications. And we have some new equipment this year, so we'll be learning that, and it should be a fun year. Thank you.
A busy year for our election official, right, Pam? And so if anybody has any questions about the applications, they can give you a call at 218-749-3579, 218-749-3579. Thank you, Pam. Okay, very good. Okay. Anything to disseminate, Britt? Brian, we have a couple questions for you. Very good. And thank you for coming to the court. I would like to go back to item number 7 on the agenda, which is the unfinished business. The 2 items are on here, the clinic lease and the property located at 410 Fifth Street South. And so, first of all, the clinic lease, anything from Mr. Modich?
Yes. Not a real big update, but I know I did receive an email late last week from Mr. Modich and a follow-up from one of his staff members this week to set an additional meeting. So we will be meeting, I expect, later this week to continue those conversations.
Okay, thank you. And then also, any questions on the clinic leases? Okay, the next one is the property located at 410 Fifth Street South. Mr. Kingsley had made a presentation tonight and informed the city that, and Jenny is aware of it, that the property at 412, the garage apartment is now being occupied. So we're going to be checking on that with respect to the process with the new rental code orders that was in effect, so Jenny's going to be working on that. But do you have anything at all with respect to this property that you can bring forth to us tonight?
Just a very brief update, Mayor. I was copied in on some correspondence. There have been some new developments or some additional developments at the property. We have an ongoing property maintenance code issue, and we have a new property maintenance code issue. I understand from being looped in on some communications that it now appears that we've got some confirmation or at least some information that would indicate that there may be some squirrel infestation in the rafters of the primary residence. And so that is now on the city's radar, and we are looking into that at this point.
So, and I know I don't share because I don't experience it, but we all understand the frustrations about this particular property. And the squirrel infestation is nothing new. The pigeons, the squirrels, or whatever the case may be, whatever's in there. So, I mean, we've had this property preservation and maintenance code in effect since January 1st of 2017. And I know the legal obstacles that we have to get a court to order us to take some type of action moving forward. So is there anything that can be done as we proceed with this new issue and with the fact that the rental code orders went into effect January 1, can we take this new ordinance and use that as the conduit as we address the issue at 410 5th Street South and move this through in a more efficient and effective manner to try to remediate the deficiencies at that residence?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah.
Thank you.
So this opens new doors, and obviously, as Mr. Kingsley knows, he's been here. He's been indicating to us that there are animal infestations. The primary hurdle that we faced is getting in to conduct the inspections and to get to the places that we needed to go, because unfortunately, like a lot of other things, there's two cases. There's the case you've got, and there's the case that you can prove. And now that we have visual confirmation of a rodent going into the rafters, it opens some additional doors and gives us some more ability to proceed. So,
is there some action that we could take, and put, like we always do, put them on notice, send a letter through probably his legal representation if he has that same representation from a legal perspective, and put them on notice that this is progressively worse and worse and worse, and no action taken. We're requesting, well, you worded properly about we're looking for some cooperation here.
Yeah, so my understanding is that we're opening a new violation report relative to section 17.24, which is titled pest elimination, and that will give us some new doors. I will also reach out to Mr. Sundquist, who represents the property owner in this, and share this information to make sure that this is on their radar and to let them know that we'll be looking for some additional cooperation and some action on their part.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kingsley?
Yep. Mayor, if I may.
Yeah, please, Brian.
Forwarding any of that information to the city and getting that into our hands is going to be helpful.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Okay. I'll move to council reports, item 12. Is any councilor that would like to give a report moving forward? Councilor Motley.
It's not so much a report, but it's a thank you to a couple members in this room and one that's currently absent for your volunteerism last week, running the concession stand at the Iron Show Motors Event Center. I hear your work ethic was admirable. So thank you, Councilor Beyondich, Councilor Paulson, and Mayor Cuffey.
Thank you. That was an emergency situation, so I'm sure we didn't perform to the high level that our recreation assistants do there today, but you gave a shout out to us. I'd like to give a shout out to Jim Hunt, who put that thing together, and Ashley, and I don't know what her last name is. She's a recreation assistant. Ashley Nemi, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. She showed us what we needed to do and directed and delegated us so we could be successful in serving the people. And then for Janet, what's Janet's last name? I'm sorry. Hogus? Janet Hogus, who came in at the last minute to run the till. So there was the Hermantown, Virginia game. It was one of the most populous attended game of the season. And so it was a successful event, both upstairs and downstairs. So thank everybody for doing that. Thank Jim Hunt and Ashley and Janet for that too. So thank you for that, Councilor Motley. Okay, anything else to come before the council this evening? If not, we will stand adjourned to our next meeting, which is scheduled for Tuesday, January 24th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. here in the council chambers. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening. Good night.